Have you had a surprise visit from USCIS or heard of other people in their immigration journeys getting a surprise visit and a surprise knock on their door from USCIS officers? Well, that is likely an FDNS investigation. These visits can feel stressful, however, they are common in certain situations, and you can use it as an opportunity to get your case approved. Today, I am going to walk you through exactly what an FDNS investigation is, why they come to your home, and what you need to do if one happens to you. I am U.S. immigration attorney Lilian Chukwurah, and I help my clients get green cards and citizenship for themselves and their families using the U.S. immigration law system. FDNS stands for Fraud Detection and National Security. This is a unit within USCIS. I just call them the Fraud Investigation Unit. Okay? They investigate people that USCIS officers believe may not be exactly telling them the truth or that there are red flags in their case. And they want to verify certain information before they make a final decision on the case. These are more likely in, let's say, a marriage-based green card application where there are inconsistencies at the interview that raises red flags for the officer. The officer can then choose to refer that case to FDNS, and the FDNS will do their investigation. Think of them as the verification team. They're there to verify that the information in your application, the information you gave the officer at your interview, and any other information that you have presented are accurate and actually reflect the truth. And sometimes, in order for them to do that verification, it means doing a site visit, meaning coming to your home and asking you questions, maybe looking through your home, and then making a report for the officer that will allow them to make a final decision on your case. Now, why would they show up at your home? Typically, in a marriage-based green card application case, for an FDNS officer to show up at your home, it means that the officer that interviewed you had some lingering red flags that they weren't able to fix. So, for example, maybe there were inconsistencies in your answers that made the officer believe that you and your spouse did not live together, or that not only did you not live together, you may be living with someone else. The point of the FDNS investigation is to help verify whether the officer is actually correct or not. And if the officer is just not sure about this relationship, whether it's real or not, they can refer it to FDNS, and then FDNS will investigate. It is important to note that FDNS verification does not start and end with a site visit, okay? That is the one most people go to, but it does not start and end there. It typically starts with doing background checks, checking public records, checking government-only records to see if there's any information in there that verifies that you and your spouse may not be living together or that you are living together. One thing that can happen and definitely leads FDNS officers to do a home visit is if they do a basic background check and find out that maybe you or your spouse got arrested, but the home address that they gave the police officers, the home address that they gave the court is completely different from the address they told USCIS that they lived at the time of their arrest. So those type of public information can come back to haunt you. Another example would be public benefit applications. If you are applying for housing benefits, for example, and on your application you did not put that you were married, if USCIS does that basic investigation, gets that documentation, that can lead them to doing that home visit. Now, let's talk about what happens during a home visit. Typically, the officers come super early in the morning or in the middle of the day. Now, what time of day they show up is typically going to depend on what you told them at your interview. Remember, typically during a marriage-based interview, the officer is going to ask, your work schedule, your spouse's work schedule. There's a reason that they're asking that information, because if they need to do a site visit, if they need to come to your home, they will now have okay, they said at the interview that the spouse works from this time to this time, and they're both typically home between this time and this time. So it would make sense for the officers to show up at that time that you say you're typically at home to do that site visit. For some people, it is 6 in the morning. I have had clients where their site visit was at 6:30 in the morning, and they were woken up by USCIS for this interview. Okay, so it is normal for the home visit to be unannounced, right? They're not going to give you a heads up that they're going to show up, because that defeats the whole purpose of a site visit, right? When an FDNS officer or officers come to your home, they are going to look at speaking to you and your spouse if you're both home. And if you're not both home, they may have you call your spouse to see if they can get home quickly. They will look through your home, right? They will look at pictures on the wall, maybe ask questions about, oh, who are these people in the pictures? They may ask to look in your bedroom. They may ask to look in your closet. They may ask to look in your fridge, okay? So it is normal for them to ask these questions. Now, all of these things may seem personal, but that's the point, right? They are trying to see if you and your spouse actually occupy this space. So I have seen them go into the bathroom, look in the medicine cabinet, see what's in there. Are there items that look like it belongs to a man? Are there items that belongs to a woman? Especially if it's a heterosexual couple, you're going to be looking in the bathroom. Maybe they use different, face wash. Maybe she has a whole morning routine and, with different products. Is it in the closet, right? Is it in the bathroom? Is it in the dresser? Where is the things that shows that two people in a relationship reside in this home? That's what they're trying to figure out. Remember, at any point in the site visit, you can ask for your attorney or to give your attorney a call. Now, if it's 6 a.m., you may not be able to get a hold of your attorney, but at least you would have alerted your attorney that there was a home visit. So definitely leave a voicemail, send a text, send a message, send a carrier pigeon, whatever it is, to get that information to your attorney that there was a home visit. Do it. Now, how do you prepare? Listen, when it comes to a home visit, you can get ready for it, but you don't need to stress out about it, right? Just know it can happen depending on what happens at your interview. And this is what I tell my clients, because typically, if you're in Massachusetts, I'm attending your interview with you. Even if you're not in Massachusetts and you're one of my clients, I may have an attorney go with you. Or if I'm able to be on the phone, I will do that. But the point of that is I'm able to then hear what's going on at the interview. I'm able to take notes. I'm able to compare your answers in real time and know from what happened at the interview whether you're likely to get that home visit or not. Listen, so important. Right? So that's why I try to be there for my clients for their interviews, because I can then tell you, oh, by the way, because of how your interview went and you got these key questions incorrect, or there's major inconsistencies in your answers, you're most likely going to get a home visit. You're most likely going to get a deep background check from FDNS. And because of that, just know it's going to take longer for a decision to come on your case, and you need to prepare, right? Now you need to prepare for a home visit, and just have it in your mind that you may get a home visit at any point, at any day. So how can you prepare for it? Make sure you keep all your immigration documents in one place so that if the officer asks for a specific document, your passport, your social security card, things like that, you and your spouse's marriage certificate, your spouse's birth certificate, you have it all in one place and you can easily retrieve it and show it to the officer. That's really the point of having all those things in one place, is that it's easily retrievable. Next, you want to make sure that you answer all the questions honestly and consistently. Listen, if you answer the question at your interview, you give one answer at the interview, and then at the time of the home visit, you give a completely different answer, those are still inconsistencies. So make sure that you are consistent throughout, whether it's during your actual interview with a USCIS officer or during that home visit. Make sure you are being consistent with your answers and honest with your answers. Make sure that you and your spouse and anyone else that lives in your household understand that a home visit may happen from USCIS and understand what it means and the gravity of it, right? What does it actually mean for an officer to come to your door? If you're not home, or if you and your spouse are not home, but your kids are home, what are the things you need to tell them to prepare for something like that to happen? So make sure that you are having that conversation with everyone in your household before a home visit happens, so that they know how to handle it if an officer comes to the door, that they're not just going to slam the door in the officer's face, right? We want to be very clear. One thing I tell my clients is, after a home visit, you want to make sure that you write down every single thing that happened from the time they knocked on your door till the time you closed the door as they left. Okay? You want to write down everything. What time did they come? What did they say? How did they introduce themselves? What type of questions did they ask? Did they ask to see certain rooms? Did someone else go into the room with them? All of that. Okay? If you and your spouse were home at the time, both of you need to write a separate report, not talking to each other, because you have different perspectives. If, let's say, you had family or friends home or a roommate home that witnessed the whole thing, you can also ask them to write a statement of what they witnessed. It is really important that after the home visit, or at some point during the home visit, that you are informing your attorney that you had a home visit, because they need to know what's going on and how best to support you. What I typically do with my clients, I have them write the statement of what happened, and then I do a full debrief with them where I ask them additional questions just to make sure I understand everything that happens and see if there's any red flags that we need to worry about and start planning for later on. FDNS visits are typical in some situations. However, I want you to know that you can be informed and be able to confidently navigate an FDNS investigation or home visit. And remember, I said to write down that statement of exactly what happens. I want you to do that even if you think everything went well. Even if the officer says, oh, this is great, you guys did amazing, I'm going to recommend that you be approved, I still want you to write that statement, including where the officer said that, so that I have all the information to be able to protect you. That's really the point of calling your attorney and giving them the information, is so that we can evaluate everything, keep a record of everything that happened, so that if something does go wrong, if we do get a notice of intent to deny, we know the best way to attack it. So remember, FDNS investigations are real. They are a part of the process in certain situations, but with preparation, you'll be just fine. If you are thinking, okay, how do I avoid an FDNS investigation, or at least give yourself the best chance of not getting to this point? Well, preparing for your interview is the best way to do that. If you're in a situation where you've gotten a home visit, or you're not even here yet, you may be thinking about starting your immigration journey and you want to do everything in your power to avoid a home visit, make sure you schedule a free strategy session with me. We can talk about your options and see how we may best assist you. You can do that by going to my website, lilylegal.com, click on contact us, and you will be able to schedule a date and time that works best for you for us to chat.